coach. They rush in. Make sure you grab the right size shirt. A whiteout. 3,700 students have made their way to pack the Al McGuire Center for Big East basketball here on NBC as Marquette welcomes George Mason of the A-10 here to town. And this environment is something special as we get to say hello. Justin Kutcher alongside Nick Baugh, and welcome to Big East basketball on the NBC Sports family of networks for the first time. Nick, this is such a treat. This place right here, I don't know if you could ask for a better environment.
First of all, it's an honor to be on the call for the very first Big East game on the NBC Sports family. But talk about setting the tone. This atmosphere is absolutely electric. It doesn't get to be any better than this.
This game that we have is going to be a really good game because we have some players who people know about, players that some people don't know about. Let's start with who they do know about, Cam Jones for Marquette.
But you better know Cam Jones. 17 points per game. This guy is an elite scorer. He's on pace to potentially become the second all-time leading scorer in Marquette basketball history. He has the ball in his hands more with the departure of Tyler Kolek, the All-American point guard. So he's going to be able to do a little bit more even scoring. He had 32 in his first game, but he is going to have his hands full because on the other side for George Mason, 6'4", Jared Billups, Tony Skinn, head coach, was gushing with praise, called him the best defender in the A-10. He's got size, he's got strength, but he also has a ton of pride in getting stops. That matchup is going to be dynamite.
You just look around this place and you see the smile on Billups' face. Prior to this game, Billups was right in front of us. He looked around and he said, "I love college."
And he also loves this opportunity to go against Marquette and see what he can do against Cam Jones.
Shaka Smart in his fourth season as the head coach for Marquette. First time his team is playing here since 2022. The 2023 Coach of the Year. This guy is trying to get his crew pumped up, knowing they're going to have their work cut out for them because Tony Skinn, who's an alumnus of this George Mason Patriots program, he has got some guards who can pressure the ball. Patriot pressure. Second year for Tony Skinn as we are ready for tip-off. And George Mason in the green controls the tip. Braden O'Connor will run the point.
Well, I think George Mason needs to be the one that gets ready to handle the ball too, because Marquette is really trying to be disruptive against the Patriots.
There is a deflection. The first of the game, this one by Chase Ross, out of bounds, will stay George Mason ball.
The target is 32 deflections. Marquette charts it. They take pride in it. First possession, one deflection.
Jared Billups will inbound the ball. Starting lineups, Billups, O'Connor, Darius Maddox, the leading scorer, Woody Newton, and Jalen Haynes. Shot clock at 8. Here is Maddox. Shot clock down to 3. And the 3 is put up, no good. By Woody Newton, loose ball, offensive rebound on the floor. George Mason has it. Maddox for 3, long. And the rebound for Ben Gold.
That's an area to watch though, Justin. Marquette fighting George Mason on the glass. That's the big advantage the Patriots have in this matchup.
Stevie Mitchell fakes the handoff off the glass. First 2 of the ball game go to Marquette.
You just get caught in that moment of indecision. Are you switching or are you sticking with your man? Great change of speed from Stevie Mitchell.
Nice job right there by Jalen Haynes to turn, draw the contact. And that foul will be called against Stevie Mitchell, his first, team's first.
Well, we asked Shaka Smart what he was concerned about with George Mason. And he said the big boys inside, not just one. There's 2 of them for George Mason that are really good in the interior, and they're really good on the glass. And if there's one thing about Marquette, they're not an overly big team in the front line.
Haynes gets doubled, and he'll be called for travel.
Haynes just got to face the middle of the floor and get that ball out of his hands. Don't try to step through a double team. You're not a guard. You have an advantage on the weak side. Just kick it opposite and let your guards go to work.
All right, so Stevie Mitchell will bring it up. Billups is on Cam Jones. Here's Jones for three.
Well, already a mental mistake. You cannot go under a handoff on Cam Jones, who shoots it at 40% from beyond the arc.
Now a steal. Joplin gets fouled, able to finish, and one.
Shaka Smart said we need to be disruptive. You have a couple of deflections. David Joplin running through just a lazy swing pass and then through the contact for potentially three the hard way.
They're going to take a look at this foul by Woody Newton. And really, so we just had one of the officials, Connor Mooney, come over. And Nick, what did he tell you?
So the call on the floor is a common foul. They're checking to see if it could potentially get upgraded to a flagrant foul.
Again, that foul called against Woody Newton off the turnover. David Joplin, watch how he finishes through this foul.
See, I think it's going to get upgraded because it's to the head and neck area. I thought in real time it looked like a flagrant foul, but Woody Newton, when he's going to swipe down, he hits the neck of David Joplin. I think that's pretty cut and dry.
This is...
Upon review, the call has been upgraded to a flagrant one.
There you have it, a flagrant one, like you said. Pretty easy decision for this officiating crew of Lamar Sampson, Justin Albrecht, and Connor Mooney. This is exactly the start that Marquette wanted. It's exactly the opposite of what this George Mason team needed.
No, you're exactly right. This is a perfect start for the Golden Eagles and a nightmare start for George Mason. Been a little bit sloppy with the ball. You give Cam Jones, the leading scorer, a rhythm wide open three. You knew the crowd was going to be into it. They needed no encouragement to get more into it.
Listen to this place. It's silent. It's almost too quiet for David Joplin right there. Right here in Milwaukee. 1 and 2 at the line. They get 3 points on that turnover and foul, and they get possession. So wondering if during that review, Tony Skinn was able to bring his guys in, say, hey, let's settle down. He did make a substitution. Katie Johnson has come into the game, a transfer from Auburn. So an SEC guy out there now.
He's used to environments like this. They need Katie Johnson's experience in this situation.
Joplin, that pass deflected, out of bounds, will stay. Marquette basketball with 14 on the shot clock. An 8-0 start to the game for the Golden Eagles. Chase Ross to inbounds. Jones around a couple of picks. Behind the back, Ben Gold for three.
Pretty sweet pass from Cam Jones, and that's what Ben Gold does. He's a stretch five. Almost 78% of his field goal attempts are threes.
You could see this George Mason team is flustered right now. Another turnover. Jones with a steal. 3-on-2 to Joplin. And Joplin's able to draw the foul. And the foul will be called against Jared Billups.
Well, in these ball screens with Ben Gold, he is not picking and rolling. He is picking and popping. Again, 78% of his shots are threes. That's what he does as a player. And then you called it, Justin. George Mason's on their heels. They're out of sorts. Another easy steal and a run out for Marquette. And to me right now, what George Mason needs to do is throw the ball inside. Invite a double team or see if you can't get something quick score at the rim. Great place to relieve pressure is to throw the ball into the post. Because right now, Marquette has pinned their ears back and they are coming after the ball handlers for George Mason.
Joplin's now 2 of 3 at the line.
So if this goes in, likely to be some three-quarter court pressure coming from Marquette.
Here it is. As George Mason points it out, they say this is more just a pressure just to take time off the shot clock. And now the trap in the corner. Johnson, top of the key for 3. And the rebound for Chase Ross. Mitchell nearly dragged the pivot foot, and he did for a travel.
It's a great job by Braden O'Connor to recover back through the ball screen and corral the ball handler so Haynes could get back to Ben Gold, the shooter. You got to have great urgency in those pick and roll defensive situations. See how Connor's able to get back so Haynes can recover, and it ends up in a turnover.
Zach Anderson, number 10, has checked in for the first time for the Patriots.
He can shoot it. 45% from 3. The Florida Gulf Coast transfer from number 10, and Green can stretch the floor.
George Mason looking for its first points of the game. Shot clock to 8. Shot clock at 3. Johnson's got to get a shot up. Haynes. It's a shot clock violation. Could not get the shot off in time.
Ball never even got inside 18 feet. Just big-time defensive possession from Marquette. Multiple efforts, great communication, fighting the dribble.
Now, almost a line change here for Marquette. Trey Norman will check in for the first time, number 5. Zayd Lowry, number 7. And Caden Hamilton, number 35. This is what Shaka Smart said. He said, go hard. It's going to be in spurts. You're going to play as hard as you can. I'm going to get you out, get you a breather. Jones. Joplin. And now a steal. Look at that by Katie Johnson going to the hoop. And Johnson will finish for the first 2 points of the game for George Mason.
Just great anticipation. Hedging that screen from Katie Johnson, just jumping it on Joplin. Joplin's the one Golden Eagle that had a negative assist-to-turnover ratio a year ago.
Here's Caden Hamilton for 3. Rebound tipped out, and it's grabbed by Braden O'Connor. Up ahead, Haynes, and he gets it blocked by Cam Jones. Cam Jones, known for his offense, he says, I can play some defense too.
That's an incredible recovery. Watch the sprint. Watch Cam Jones coming from the top of your screen and getting a hand on it. Clean as a whistle. Let's take another look at it. All ball. Big time play from Cam Jones. Those are tone-setting plays.
Justin Begg, the freshman, number 23, has checked in for George Mason. Ben Golds has come back in, so a big lineup right now for Marquette as Haynes goes to the hoop again and has it turned away. And let's see, it looks like the George Mason player was Jalen Haynes. No foul. It looks like it is going to stay George Mason ball. We've got a timeout here on the floor. 13-2, Marquette leading.
Well, Shaka Smart told us at shoot-around, we need to be disruptive. How about 5 forced turnovers to start the game? A double team forces a travel. David Joplin running through the passing lane for a three-point play. Another steal from Cam Jones getting in the passing lane. And then how about the incredible hustle, erasing a dunk with the block for Cam Jones, setting the tone right away on the defensive end of the floor for Marquette.
This is what Marquette can do. Last season, they led the Big East in forcing turnovers. Tonight, already 5. Like you mentioned, 5 turnovers forced. George Mason has only 6 field goal attempts in this game so far.
Yes, and this was exactly how Marquette wanted to set the tone in this game, to attack the ball handlers. And George Mason, in their first game against North Carolina Central, they did turn it over 17 times. They're breaking in a lot of new guards, experienced at different places, but it's new at George Mason. So see if they've been able to catch their breath here.
Giovanni Emajuru, big man transfer in, hands off to Justin Begg, off on a three-point attempt. Now 1 for 7 are the Patriots. Caden Hamilton, hand off to Jones. Jones with a hesitation. Trey Norman, shot clock at 9. Top of the key, Zayd Lowry to the hoop, has it turned away by Emajuru with 2 on the shot clock.
Excellent scrambling and recovering from George Mason. Multiple times felt like they were out of position, but they kept on talking and kept on flying around. Now 2 on the shot clock. You gotta have great communication if you're George Mason here.
Trey Norman will inbound. Gotta watch out for Jones. In the corner, there's Jones. He gets fouled, and he will take 3 free throws as Katie Johnson tried to swipe down on it. When you have 2 on the shot clock, you can't do that.
Mental mistake. You got to have shot clock awareness. You just got to contest. You cannot foul a shooter. Cam Jones is sprinting from one corner to the other. All of his momentum is going away from the basket. That's going to be a really hard shot. Just contest it. Don't bail out Cam Jones with a foul.
The lefty scorer doesn't go to the free throw line very often. He had 32 points in the opener on Monday at Stony Brook. 14 of 16 from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3, no free throws.
It's the only area of his scoring ability that probably needs to increase a little bit. He only took 61 free throws all season last year. For a guy that is good getting to the basket, he needs to find a way to get to the free throw line more.
Marquette 6 for 7 at the line so far tonight. George Mason has yet to attempt a free throw.
I like the ball getting inside, Justin. Emajuru's got a size and strength advantage.
Johnson tries to get it down low. Emajuru able to save it. Maddox will put up the 3, and he'll make it, and that's a much-needed bucket, not just for Maddox, but for George Mason.
Yeah, he's the guy. If George Mason wants to have a shot tonight, he's got to make shots.
Into the corner. Gold's 3, long, and Katie Johnson with a rebound. He's saying, go through, go through. He wants Maddox. Maddox along the baseline. Resets. Johnson with a center on him will take the 3. It's short. On the floor, Gold, and now it looks like we got a tie-up, jump ball, possession arrow, Marquette.
It's one where you'd like to see Katie Johnson take advantage of his speed and quickness. Ben Golden closed the airspace. Just hit the gas, get by him, get into the paint, make something happen instead of settling for a long-range 3.
Since the start of the game, we haven't seen Jared Billups come back in. So Tony Skinn saw something he didn't like, and he's gone with Katie Johnson.
Yeah, well, Katie Johnson does have that experience. He's scored over 1,100 points in his career, a couple of years at Auburn, so he's played in environments like this. But Jared Billups also made a big mental mistake on the second possession of the game, going under a screen and giving Cam Jones a 3. But he's going to come back in the game. There's no question about that.
Chase Ross in the game, as is the freshman Royce Parham for 3, way off the mark. And the rebound, Justin Begg. Begg, the freshman of Houston, Texas. Being guarded by Lowry. Both teams will get up on the ball handlers. Begg off the glass, and a late whistle. It'll be a foul, and Justin Begg will go to the free throw line.
George Mason did not get into their actions quick enough and left Begg on an island. And sometimes in that case, you got to just go try to make something happen. He was able to get downhill and draw a foul.
The foul was called against Zayd Lowry, his first. First free throws of the night for the Patriots. George Mason, last year, 20-12, 9-9 and 8-10 play in the first season under Tony Skinn. And now a substitution. Back into the game is Stevie Mitchell. for Marquette. As Justin Begg makes them both. 16-7. And a reach-in foul here against Katie Johnson. As you saw Chase Ross kind of put on the afterburners to get by him.
It looked like Chase Ross was a little out of control. And again, Katie Johnson with a silly foul. He fouled Cam Jones on the 3 on the baseline out of bounds with 2 on the clock in there. Chase Ross is kind of dribbling into a pile and out of control, and you foul.
So that's his second foul. He goes to the bench. Jared Billups comes back in. 4 team fouls already against George Mason. And right now, Connor Mooney, one of the officials, is going over about the clock. Maybe the shot clock as well. It was reset to 30. It should be at 25. A lot of shooters right now on the floor here for Marquette. Parham tries to go baseline. Mitchell to the corner. Here's Parham for 3. Loose ball on the floor, and a quick whistle that time by Justin Albrecht, and possession for George Mason.
I thought you were spot on, Justin. Felt like a quick whistle. I like to let the players give them maybe a half a second, see if they can settle it themselves. And it looked like Parham was able to rip it free, but jump ball. And these moments with Cam Jones off the floor, George Mason has to dig into this lead a little bit.
Justin Begg running the point right now for George Mason. Begg skip pass to the corner. Shot clock at 9. Maddox to the corner. Zach Anderson for 3, hits it, and he wanted a foul call.
Heck of a play, though, from Darius Maddox, too, to hit that seam and find the shooter in the corner.
Heck of a job by George Mason after that first punch thrown by Marquette to make it a 6-point game. Now a turnover. Begg the other way. Maddox to the hoop, and that should be goaltending. Yep. Chase Ross took it off the glass, and all of a sudden, this is quite the response by the Patriots to make it a 4-point game, a 10-0 run.
George Mason has started to settle in on the defense end of the floor, and it's helped them out offensively. But Darius Maddox, your star has to shine bright in an environment like this. He's knocked down a tough 3. He gets an assist to Anderson in the corner there. He gets a run-out layup. So it feels like George Mason has started to settle into this game after the storm from the Golden Eagles early.
It looked like they were up against the ropes early.
Yes.
Cam Jones has checked back in. Jones turns the corner with that left. So crafty.
Wow. You have any idea how hard that shot is? You do that shot with only you in the gym. It's tough to make. That's an incredible play.
Now the steal by Ross, but it's out of bounds because Connor Mooney was out of bounds and he bumped into him. He said, I'm out of bounds. It's out of bounds. Shaka Smart, he's okay with it.
Yes, it's unfortunate. Official trying to get out. Another steal.
It also looked like his foot was out of bounds anyway before the contact was made.
Yep.
Dangerous inbounds pass leads to a turnover. Stevie Mitchell knocks it away from Justin Begg, and now it's Marquette basketball.
Just right now, every catch is hard for George Mason. Even just inbounding the ball is contested. Passes to the wing are getting deflected, or they're pick 6 turnovers right now.
You said a word, contested. Everything is contested. Joplin turns the corner to the hoop, hangs, too strong, and this will be out of bounds off the Begg. Will stay Marquette basketball. 12 seconds on the shot clock. Cam Jones is the leader. He did it defensively.
I can't wait to take a look at this. The drive, the spin, the horse shot. Gorgeous.
Please join me in welcoming back former Marquette Warrior coach Al McGuire, who is announcing this afternoon's game for NBC along with Dick Enberg.
We are playing tonight at the Al McGuire Center. Al McGuire, a legend on the floor, a legend on the mic, a national champion in 1977, a Basketball Hall of Fame inductee, and of course a broadcaster for NBC. And the guy, I say a legend because he was hilarious.
Yeah.
Like the stories that you hear from Bill Raftery about Al McGuire, you could sit there all night and listen to it.
Yeah, an incredible coach. And then what he did helping to grow the sport of college basketball when he slid over and put a headset on. He was on the call for the 1979 National Championship game, Indiana State and Michigan State, Larry and Magic, and that game kind of changed the trajectory of college basketball, and he was a big part of that. And so, pretty amazing legacy, and this is a pretty amazing atmosphere in a building named after him.
Yeah, it's a great tribute to him. As Gold off the glass, no, but he's able to bat it out. Ross. Here's Cam Jones, open for three. You can't do that.
You got to read the scouting report. That is Mr. Cam Jones. Doesn't matter if he's a couple of feet beyond the arc. You have to close the airspace. Guys like Cam Jones are going to get theirs regardless. You can't gift them open threes.
11 points for Cam Jones already. We are not yet 9 minutes into this game.
See, just the kick out, just too much space. You have to understand who you're closing out to. Mental mistake from Zach Anderson there, giving Cam Jones the open triple.
Golds for three. Did not get the roll as Zach Anderson corrals the rebound. George Mason still has not been able to get the ball inside.
Was just going to say, the ball pressure is so good for Marquette. They're having a hard time hitting it into the post, but the ball's got to go there.
Billups fighting for the rebound, and he's able to save it off of Stevie Mitchell.
You got to play to your advantages, and your advantage if you're George Mason is in the paint and on the glass. The ball has to go inside, and you have to start imposing your will in the rebounding column. At Marquette, that's the one area they're not great, and it's the one area that George Mason is.
Jalen Haynes, remember he had a couple of dunk attempts blocked earlier to the corner. Billups fumbles and turns it over. Now a steal the other way. O'Connor to Billups, having trouble with the catch, able to corral it and put it in. David Joplin. You think about this Marquette team as Ross goes to the hoop and draws the foul against Justin Begg. They return so many guys. They lost a couple of key guys to the NBA. But what Marquette does is a throwback. Shaka Smart says there are no transfers here. I'm going to develop guys. He is one of 4 coaches who made the NCAA tournament last year not to take a transfer this year.
Yeah, it's clearly the blueprint here at Marquette. They're doing it the old-fashioned way with player development, and it was so cool to listen to Shaka Smart explain his philosophy. And he said it starts with a personal growth plan. He said if you can't maximize the person, you're not going to maximize the player. So he first talks about maximizing the comfort and being the best version of yourself as a player. But it is pretty cool to see a different way of doing it that clearly is working here in Milwaukee.
Chase Ross, a prime example of that development. Begg, this is a deep three. Short, rebounded by Billups. Haynes along the baseline, in trouble again, another turnover. Jones for Golds. That three is in and out. Rebound, tip back. Jones for three. A rare miss by him.
It's weird. I thought Cam Jones needed a better pass to Ben Gold. There's sometimes you don't need to do a flipped fancy pass. Just hit it to him on target.
Billups attacking the hoop, able to finish. 22-16, back to a 6-point game.
It's the other thing you have to do against ball pressure. Every once in a while, you just got to be able to beat that pressure and drive it to the hoop.
Here's the matchup we wanted. Jones again left open. And where is the scouting report? You know what he's doing.
Well, you have to talk. And that's 3 threes that I would say George Mason has made mental mistakes to give to Cam Jones. Just a simple guard-to-guard pick and pop. You don't communicate it, and Cam Jones gets an easy 3.
14 points already for Jones. He had 32 on Monday. Here's Justin Begg, an air ball, long on that one. He'll hear from the crowd. Mitchell has it blocked by Billups. Will stay Marquette basketball. 8:39 to play. A couple of substitutions.
Just got to be talk here. 2 guys go at the ball. Begg and Billups have to talk. Switch, switch, switch. Stay, get back. Whatever it is, you got to be on the same page. Especially when Cam Jones is involved. If anything, there should be 2 running at Cam Jones.
He's missed 1 shot so far.
So
that means he's missed 3 on the season.
Three shots.
And combined, he has 46 points so far in the season. Jones spins back. Second miss. Jeremiah Quigley has checked into the game for the first time here for George Mason. Haynes gets doubled to the corner. Oh, hanging in the air, Woody Newton thought maybe he drew a foul. No whistle. Zayd Lowry long on that 3. And we're going to have a foul called here against, I think, Trey Norman. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it's
you're
going
right.
against Marquette and against Norman for trying to reach around and poke that ball away. Well, here is something. A change here for Tony Skinn. Oh, no, I beg your pardon. I thought Jalen Haynes was going out and they were going small, but they're not. Caden Hamilton will check in for Marquette. Chase Ross goes to the bench.
Even though it ended in a missed dunk attempt, you saw a good opportunity, though, with going to the post, playing out of the double team for George Mason.
Quigley gets it to Haynes. Skip pass to the wing. Newton for 3, hits it.
Starts with a post touch. Haynes, that mid-post area, is able to look to the opposite side of the floor. There needs to be a steady diet of that for the Patriots.
Jones up in the air, able to get rid of it to Parham. This is out of bounds. It will stay Marquette basketball. 7:19 to go here in the first half. Marquette came out firing. George Mason has battled back. It's a 6-point game.
He's talking about defending the post, and if those doubles come or if they're skipping it opposite, I think he feels like you can have another pick 6 type of situation. And so understanding, positioning yourself in the help side and trying to get another turnover.
So they have forced 10 turnovers already for George Mason. They have 7 steals in this game, yet they only lead by 6. And why is that? They began the game 4 of 4 since they're 3 of 16, and that's basically all coming from Cam Jones.
Yeah, I think George Mason has started to settle in on the defensive end of the floor. And keep in mind that a lot of their points have come off of, for Marquette, getting these live ball turnovers and getting some run-out opportunities as well. But all things considered, if you're Tony Skinn, you say, guys, listen, we have been turning the ball over at an incredible rate, and we're right there.
Jones to inbound to Chase Ross. Shot clock at 10.
Jared Billups sniffing out the crackback screen guarding Cam Jones.
Parham shot clock at 3 underneath to Caden Hamilton, the redshirt freshman.
He's the one Golden Eagle that's got some size in the interior. Great early post-up duck-in for Hamilton.
Jeremiah Quigley, a ball handler on the floor here for Mason. And we've got a foul away from the ball. Will be called against Caden Hamilton as he threw Jalen Haynes to the floor.
Just a nice little ducking. Up in the left part of your screen. See, just doing his work early. He got into Haynes' body before the ball even was ready to be delivered. So much of post work is doing your work early. That was nice from Hamilton.
Quigley has to get it in, just does. Maddox to the left, and that's going to roll out, but we've got a whistle and a foul. It'll be against Chase Ross. That's his first, team's fifth. Both teams with 5 fouls now with 6:46 to go. And Maddox goes to the free throw line. A preseason second team A-10 pick. This is a guy who began his career at Virginia Tech. How about this? A career nearly 42% three-point shooter.
Well, the thing that I want to applaud him is, listen, he could have went in the transfer portal, gotten a lot of NIL money, but he said thanks but no thanks. And he talked about how much he loves the coaching staff. He loves Coach Skin. He's comfortable here at George Mason.
He's from Bowie, Maryland. George Mason's in Fairfax, Virginia, so that's Northern Virginia. They're not far away. His family can come see him play. 1 of 2 at the line. Rebound by Cam Jones. Jones.
Like that, Billups not switching, sticking with Cam Jones.
Parham will step back for 3. It's long, and the rebound is pulled down by Haynes.
But that whole possession, though, was Billups blowing up everything with Cam Jones and not getting switched off him.
Woody Newton for his second 3 of the night. And the rebound by Trey Norman. Ross. Wild, crazy shot. Parham gets the offensive rebound. Goes back up with it, and he's going to draw the foul.
That is a difficult in-traffic rebound for a young freshman in Royce Parham. Taking a look at it, first of all, really tough, wild shot from Chase Ross, but at least he drew Parham's defender away from him. That was Haynes going after the block shot, so now Parham's all by himself to be able to go corral it.
Nick, I have to wonder on that shot by Chase Ross, did he think he got fouled and just threw the ball up to get an and one opportunity?
Potentially, because sometimes, or at least make it a shooting foul.
Yes.
And that could have been the case. Or he could have just been out of control.
Chase, I was trying to help you out. We got a bloody nose. That's Darius Maddox, the offensive star. Wow. He said it was a boxing fight early.
Yeah. It's not Big East basketball in Tucker's blood, right?
Oh, it was an inadvertent blow to the face by Royce Parham, a freshman out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now it's just a matter of can he stop the bleeding.
Crucial, though. Mark this point. 6 minutes, 9-point game. Maddox on the bench with a bloody nose. Can George Mason hang in there?
Billups not looking for the outside shot. Braden O'Connor will take it and make it.
It's amazing what happens when you get out of a double team. You got an advantage, 4-on-3. And Billups with a nice kick out to the UMass Lowell transfer for the triple.
Jones kept the pivot foot down, deflected. And Ross nearly an overt back violation. Instead goes to the hoop. He's long, and the rebound to Billups. Quigley. O'Connor for 3 again. Back-to-back threes by Braden O'Connor, and a timeout taken here by Shaka Smart. It is a 3-point ball game with 5:15 to go here in the first. The threes can hurt you. They can also get you back in play pretty quickly.
2 great plays from Jared Billups, getting a piece of the paint, finding Braden O'Connor, and then a nice extra pass. And just like that, George Mason on a run.
Get tickets now for the most magical event of the year. Wicked is rated PG and hits theaters on November 22nd. Don't miss the spectacular cinematic events. We have a really cool event going on right here at the Al McGuire Center. Justin Kutcher alongside Nick Baugh, the first ever Big East basketball game here on the NBC Sports family of networks on Peacock. And it features the number 18 ranked Marquette University Golden Eagles hosting George Mason at the Al McGuire Center. Again, this place holds 3,700. It's all students for a whiteout. Normally, they play at the Fiserv Forum, which is also the home of the Milwaukee Bucks. That place holds 17,500. Nick, when this began, it was louder here than it is at Fiserv.
No question. It just goes to show you that oftentimes it's the students that create the atmosphere, and it's nothing but students in here.
And a timeout, play run for Jones. Pump fake, kick out. Here's Ross for three.
Needed it.
Nicely done by Cam Jones. Was patient, didn't force, found his teammate. Haynes back to O'Connor, who's hit back-to-back threes. O'Connor pump fake, step back for three. Off the mark, Billups the weak side rebound, puts it up. No, the tip is good by Jalen Haynes.
George Mason starting to flex their muscles on the glass. And Billups just had a nice stretch here on both ends of the floor.
Loss against Haynes. Now the switch. Joplin. Looked like he traveled, but instead a foul will be called, and this will go against Zach Anderson.
You see just activity on the glass, not one but two George Mason Patriots attacking the glass, and Haynes able to get the stick back. One area that Shaka Smart was worried was dealing with the size of the front line of George Mason on the glass.
David Joplin at the line. Short on this one. 17 fouls for George Mason, so Marquette is in the bonus as Giovanni Amajuru checks back in.
Yeah, it's interesting with Joplin. He kind of had his coming out party in this gym 2 years ago against Central Michigan. Had his best game as a Golden Eagle up until that point. 23 points with 6 of 10 from three. You'd imagine that he's comfortable and confident in this gym. He's got nothing but good memories here.
This is the gym they practice in every single day.
And that makes a difference. Obviously, the more you shoot in the gym, the more comfortable you're going to be.
Braden O'Connor left wide open for three, and this is tipped out of bounds by Anderson. It will be Marquette basketball. 3:51 to go here in the first half. 33-28. Marquette of the Big East leads George Mason of the A-10. All right, Jordan, thank you so much. 33-28 here at the Al McGuire Center in Milwaukee on the campus of Marquette. You just heard Jordan talking about the scores in the Big East tonight. Xavier able to defeat IU Indianapolis, but Butler losing to Austin Peay by 2, 68-66. And now Villanova in control against NJIT.
Yeah, and Eric Dixon has started to assert himself in that game. He had 33 points in their first outing in the loss to Columbia, but he's got 17, so he's trying to stem the tide for the Wildcats. And then keep an eye on Ryan Conwell for Xavier. Indiana State transfers, one of the best shooters in the country. He's averaging 20 points per game already in Cincinnati. He had 21 tonight. It'll be one of those years again in the Big East where every night you're going to have to bring it.
You mentioned transfers. Tony Skinn brought in 5 transfers this year. So it's another new team for him in his second year at George Mason. Gold looking for Jones. Comes to the second option, Joplin. Good use of the pivot foot by Joplin. Can't finish. Tipped up, no. And now the rebound by Giovanni Amajuru, the transfer out of Siena. the big man. Drew wants the ball down low. He had position against Gold. He says, hey, reverse, let's do this. Shot clock at 8. Katie Johnson's back in with 2 fouls, and that ball's tipped with 1 on the shot clock.
Just incredible on-ball pressure from Marquette, blowing up this whole possession.
Do you try to go for a lob right now?
Probably. You could have a back pick, and then Anderson pops out.
It's to Billups. Puts it up, gets it off in time, and gets the roll.
Great execution. You could see it coming as Billups was cutting to the basket.
Oh, there were a couple of fouls on that play. They may want to take a look at this because Stevie Mitchell, his elbow hit the face of Jeremiah Quigley.
We'll see how Billups kind of had a banana cut to get ahead of steam, to catch and go up with it. Great pass, great finish. But I think you're right, Justin. Taking a look at it, Stevie Mitchell, that chicken wing might have got up and to the chin of Quigley. Stevie Mitchell's now at the line.
So the foul will be called against Quigley. Darius Maddox has come back in for George Mason.
You know, we talk about all the newcomers for George Mason, and although Marquette brings back a lot, they lose. Losing Kolek and Iguodaro cannot be understated. It is a big, big loss to have 2 guys that are in the NBA now who are your ball handlers, your creators, and so it's different now.
And Sean Jones, who would be the point guard, is still out with the knee injury he suffered last year.
Yeah, and that's the one thing with this group. They do need one more pure point guard, because right now Cam Jones is having to do it all. He's having to run the offense. He's having to score. It'd be nice with Sean Jones when he gets back to alleviate some of the ball handling duties.
Katie Johnson maybe got away with a step. Instead, he'll get a foul. Now, here are the guys who were talking about, Kolek and Iguodaro, and you see what they did in their time, and now they're in the NBA. It's impressive what Marquette has churned out. And, oh, by the way, Tyler Kolek began his career with George Mason.
Yes, it all intertwines. These 2 guys right now they're the poster childs for player development here under Shaka Smart. Oso Iguodaro played 38 total minutes as a freshman. Now he's on the Phoenix Suns. Tyler Kolek averaged about 10 a game at George Mason. Nobody thought when he transferred to Milwaukee you were talking about an All-American, going to be a guy that's going to play for the New York Knicks eventually, but he bought into that man. And that man certainly bought into Kolek and Iguodaro, and those guys were not just good players, they were unique players in their ability to pass the ball.
Katie Johnson able to make them both. This is now the closest the game has been since it was 2-0. 2.5 to go. Golds long again on the 3. And the rebound, a chance now for George Mason to take the lead with a 3. Drew wants it. The pull-up jumper from the elbow by Zach Anderson ties it up at 34.
George Mason, going to keep in mind, this game started 13-2.
Yes. 13-2, the crowd into it, and all of a sudden, George Mason, with 2 minutes to go in this first half, has drawn even. Joplin nearly had it stripped by Billups. Ross in the corner for 3. It's long. Billups going up high for the rebound. Again, a chance for George Mason to take the lead. Anderson, a deep 3, short, and the rebound by Jones. Joplin doesn't have numbers, doesn't care. The hesitation, can't finish. Rebound comes out to Jones underneath. Joplin, oh, let's see what they call. Is it a foul or a travel? They're going to call a foul.
Talk about a shot fake and going right into the body. He might have lost his footing a little bit. But a great drive from Joplin, recognizing Katie Johnson, I think, was the lone defender on the ball. He's got 2 fouls. He attacks him, misses a layup. And now he's got a chance for free throws.
The foul is called against Zach Anderson. That's his second. Team's 9th. Joplin goes back to the free throw line. 4 of 6 at the line so far tonight. 6 points. Tony Skinn didn't panic, but his team got off to a poor start. Look at how they've responded.
And he's got to be thrilled with how his team took a punch and stayed right there in the middle of the ring and have punched back. A lot of it is, there is an element of settling into a team's pressure and getting used to how a team is defending you. And I think George Mason has stopped turning the ball over so much, and it's obviously helped their offense tremendously.
Joplin able to make both. Trouble getting it in. Maddox gets fouled by Cam Jones. And that will be the 7th team foul against Marquette. So it'll be 1-1.
Just going to take a big swipe with that left hand. Couldn't really tell. But oftentimes, big swipes 90 feet from the hoop, they look like fouls.
Yeah.
Where if you're Marquette, you'd much rather just make them break the pressure. They had a hard time getting it in, turn them a couple of times.
And sending Darius Maddox to the free throw line, he's had a quiet first half, just 6 points. You don't want to send him there, get him into a rhythm, and all of a sudden light that spark for him.
But keep in mind, he took a shot to the nose.
The follow attempt rolls out by Haynes.
Got numbers down here. George Mason. Haynes is trailing the play.
Joplin will take the 3. Short, and a rebound for Maddox. Coming up on a minute to go, 2-point Marquette lead here in the first half. And a timeout will be taken here by George Mason. With exactly 1 minute to go here in the half, the Patriots of George Mason trail by 2. Streaming now only on Peacock. I promise you, my wife will be watching that right away. She loves Despicable Me.
Who doesn't? My kids certainly love the Minions, but what Marquette can't like right now is how they're shooting the ball. And for the most part, I think they're getting pretty good looks. Been really pulled from beyond the arc.
They haven't been able to take advantage of the foul trouble early by George Mason. They haven't gone to the free throw line a ton. It's really been David Joplin going to the line. But now George Mason with the ball, 24 on the shot clock, and a chance to tie again or take the lead. O'Connor to inbounds. Katie Johnson is in. Johnson turns the corner. Top of the key, Maddox puts the 3. Got it! And George Mason has its first lead of the game.
Great penetration along the baseline and extra passes, and you find your stud for a wide open 3.
Golds. And we're going to have an offensive foul. Katie Johnson able to draw it.
Katie Johnson got the party started with the baseline penetration, collapsing the defense, and a great extra pass. And your star, even contested, can knock it down. And then Ben Gold's going to extend that right arm. And K.D. Johnson, keep in mind, he's got 2 personal fouls. So a little bit of a risky decision there to go for the charge, but he gets it.
Now you have just about a 5-second difference, shot clock to game clock. And Tony Skinn says, hey, let's just be patient.
Gotta be careful with the ball around Cam Jones, though, if you're K.D. Johnson.
Shot clock down to 10. Braden O'Connor. Hesitation to the hoop, draws the contact, no whistle. 7 seconds. Jones up ahead to Joplin. Joplin, 4 seconds. Fakes, puts up the 3. It's no good. And that's the way this first half will come to an end. Who would have thought, the way this game began, that George Mason would be leading 37-36 at the half. Coming up back at the break, we'll get you back to the studio for the Xfinity Halftime Show. Jordan Cornette, Donnie Marshall, Matt McCall.
Welcome to the Xfinity Halftime Report.
We got a tight one here between Marquette and George Mason. Cam Jones with the triple, but all of a sudden, taking care of the basketball, a little bit of rhythm. George Mason, Zach Anderson gets one from the baseline. 37-36, George Mason leads at the half. Come on into the Peacock Studios. All right, let's take a look at the Xfinity first half stats. And like we said, the three ball got going for George Mason, and they got that 1 point lead. Buckle up. It'll be a fun second half. We'll see you post game.
We welcome you back to the Al McGuire Center here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. George Mason leads 37-36 over Marquette as we get set to start the second half. Justin Kutcher alongside Nick Baugh. And Nick, this took place at the end of the first half. Watch Shaka Smart walking, and then Jalen Haynes bumps him. And he says, hey, that's not once, that's twice now. And so all of a sudden, Shaka Smart starts talking. Tony Skinn comes over and is like, hey, calm down, it's fine. And they have to be separated as they go to their respective locker rooms. So I ask you, what does that mean?
Well, listen, Shaka Smart's never going to be one to back down. And coach, player, doesn't matter. And again, Haynes, I saw the first time. He turned to the bench and started barking early in that first half. And so you do it once, I'll let it slide. You do it again, going to turn and say something. But obviously it speaks to the competitive nature of this game in this situation. And certainly Tony Skinn, he's not going to back down either. Talking about a guy that went to the Final Four with George Mason in 06, was the point guard on that team. I think it just speaks to the intensity of this game. This atmosphere is electric. And Marquette delivered that first punch, but George Mason has fought back after getting down 13-2 to take the lead.
And we were commenting about this place. You see the students trying to get back into it. Remember, this is a students-only crowd tonight. 3,700 students here in a whiteout. They came out. They were so loud. During halftime, you can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Marquette will have the ball to start. On the floor, Cam Jones. Chase Ross is out there with Ben Golds, David Joplin, and Stevie Mitchell, the starters for Marquette. They're going with Billups, Braden O'Connor, Woody Newton, Jalen Haynes, and Maddox as they start in a 2-3. Here's Gold, who struggled from three, and the struggles continue. Really, the entire team has struggled with the exception of Cam Jones.
Cam Jones is 4 of 6 from the floor. The rest of the team is now 5 for 27 from the floor. So somebody other than Cam Jones is going to have to step up and make a shot.
Jalen Haynes just made that shot more difficult and missed it.
Boy, Tony Skinn with a great set play out of halftime. You get it right where you want it, you don't finish.
Joplin to the corner. Mitchell goes baseline. No whistle. Haynes has the ball. You don't want him dribbling, but apparently you do because he finds Braden O'Connor. And now it's a three-point George Mason lead.
No, there's no, yes shots. That was a no, yes pass from Haynes. I feel like that was a turnover waiting to happen.
Joplin in and out. Rebound for Woody Newton.
Well, Marquette, they got to dig in on this into the floor. They forced 10 turnovers in the first about 12 minutes of the game, and then George Mason didn't have a single turnover, and that's how they got into this lead.
In and out. Rebound comes out to Billups. O'Connor will reset. The transfer out of UMass Lowell plays with confidence. Shot clock down to 9.
Mismatch here.
O'Connor has it blocked by Ben Gold. Nicely defended right there by the big man.
Really good job. Gold using his length to fight the dribble and then block the shot. Great display of defense from Ben Gold.
Well, now he's going to come out as Caden Hamilton comes in. 5 on the shot clock here for George Mason. And a foul, dead ball foul as Caden Hamilton just runs over Jalen Haynes.
I'm not sure what happened there. Might have been a crafty veteran trick here from Haynes as he's trying to get position. Hamilton just shoved him. Might have been a little Hollywood from Haynes at 260 pounds to go down like that. I know Hamilton has gotten a lot stronger. I don't know if he's...
I mean, he has added 22 pounds of muscle.
Yeah.
O'Connor has to get it in. He does to Maddox. Maddox gets hit hard. Oh, man, did he take a shot by the body of Stevie Mitchell.
Mitchell was trying to just stay vertical. But Maddox just did such a good job going into the body of Stevie Mitchell.
That's the third foul against Stevie Mitchell. So Darius Maddox to the free throw line. Maddox 1 for 3 at the line tonight.
Well, if you're Marquette, you're struggling offensively. I always like to think about two things. Your defense creating offense, getting some steals, getting some stops and run out rebounds and transition situations, and then paint. Get into the paint. Really have had a hard time knocking down threes other than Cam Jones. Go get some easy shots at the rim, whether it's Chase Ross or it's Cam Jones getting at the basket here.
A 5-point lead right now for George Mason. Hamilton is in, trying to work a two-man game with Jones for 3. That one's off the line. The follow dunk, no good by Ross. Ross gets it back in the corner for 3. And we're going to have a loose ball foul on the box out called against Woody Newton of George Mason.
Great effort from Joplin, attacking that glass. Boy, this might have been the play of the night if he would have finished this. Chase Ross, who's a great athlete. That would have been
might have been.
It's early. It's early in the second half. But Joplin, great effort. Go get some second chance opportunities. I want to see something at the basket here. Driving to the rim. You don't really have a great post-up option. Hamilton a little bit if he's got an angle.
Jones to Hamilton, left open. That's done on purpose. Baseline. Here's Hamilton with the left as he draws the foul against Jared Billups. And Billups will pick up his second foul.
It's a great possession from Hamilton. Under control when he caught that little pocket pass to kick it opposite and they'd be ready for the dump down. And it was a nice play from Zayd Lowry as well, the sophomore. Penetration, threads the needle. Good sequence from two talented young players.
Cade Hamilton, a redshirt freshman from Santa Maria, California. What a story he was. Yeah. He was over 300 pounds as a junior in high school. But all of a sudden, Shaka Smart got video of him. He was watching him. He's like, this kid's got something. And they end up bringing him in with his AAU coach on a recruiting visit. They go for dinner. Caden Hamilton knows that Shaka Smart loves carrot cake. They go to get dessert. Shaka's like, no, I don't want any. And Hamilton was so upset, he was distraught. The reason why? He went out, got the cake, and on the cake he says, I'm coming to Marquette.
That'd be the best carrot cake Shaka Smart's ever had. He probably had, you got to have a piece then, right?
Haynes, and that's going to be a travel. Got up in the air, nowhere to go with it. There's a turnover that you talked about. Defense, does it lead to offense? That's the first turnover in about 14 minutes.
Yeah. And the crowd's starting to get into it a little bit now.
Jones gets instructions by Joplin.
Ball need to have some more zip on it. I think Joplin could have had a 3.
Into the corner. Ross to the paint. Shot clock at 5. Jones, a deep 3. It's short. Loose ball. Hamilton's got it. And it looks like we're going to have a foul. And now Hamilton's firing up this crowd.
And listen, that has been somewhat coached into him to play with that ferociousness, that confidence. This is somewhat of a shy Caden Hamilton when he arrived in Milwaukee. Look at him barking after a great hustle play to get an offensive rebound.
Jalen Haynes talking with Connor Mooney, the official.
Trying to get under Hamilton's skin a little bit.
Joplin, top of the key for three. That's short. Long rebound comes out to Ross. Joplin again. This time he hits it. Tied at 41. Marquette with 15 second chance points on the night. 4 for George Mason. O'Connor, nice stop and go. Shot clock down to 8, a turnover. Here comes Ross, watch out! 7-0 run for Marquette. Katie Johnson is in trouble, turns it over. Joplin thought about pulling the trigger on the three. Now it's Jones. And that hit the leg of Jalen Haynes.
The students are loving it. And let's show you why. A little defense to offense. Chase Ross taking flight. And Marquette back on top. Well, Justin, Marquette has battled back here, and I want to highlight Zayd Lowry on the ball. Look at this defense, fighting over the top of a screen, shuts off the baseline. O'Connor tries to do it again, fights the dribble, and that gets George Mason off schedule, and it ends in a turnover and a dunk for Chase Ross. But make no mistake about it, the entire party got started because Zayd Lowry, the sophomore, got in a stance and guarded the rock.
And then that dunk by Chase Ross reminded a lot of Marquette fans of Darius Johnson Odom from back in the past. The lefty could throw it down.
Good call.
But I tell you what, this whole run by Marquette has happened since Caden Hamilton came on the floor. Remember, the big man Ben Gold has had an off night shooting. So all of a sudden, Shaka Smart said, I'm going to put in Hamilton, and that changed the entire dynamic.
Yeah, listen, Ben Gold at this point in his career, he's one of those guys where he's a stretch five, and if he's not making his threes, the rest of his game is still a work in progress. And so you're going with the size from Hamilton.
Joplin looking for back-to-back threes. A 10-0 run here by Marquette, 46-41. O'Connor able to answer back, and that's a big one by Braden O'Connor.
Simple as just getting sorted out and matched up. You don't find O'Connor, and he stops the bleeding.
Back door. Cam Jones, a rare shot with inside the three-point line.
The other thing Marquette did to settle in is they got on the offensive glass in this second half as well. A lot of that was Hamilton. Got a couple of second chance opportunities, and now you found some rhythm.
Maddox. Pull up. Got it.
Tough.
Darius Maddox now has 13.
He's kind of got a weird hitch in his jump shot. I always think it's going to get blocked, and he doesn't.
I'm with you. Jones goes baseline, off the glass.
It's almost like the defender thought he was getting ready to go to the reverse to the other side of the floor of the rim, and instead Jones goes up.
18 points for Cam Jones after 32 in the opener. And this will be a turnover.
Hamilton fighting the post up. Haynes trying to duck him in, but Hamilton, the one frontline Golden Eagle that's got some size and some strength, able to fight the post up, and it's a turnover.
Now the substitutions, Giovanni Emajuru back in for Jalen Haynes, and also back is Woody Newton. So this is probably a better matchup with Emajuru against Caden Hamilton. Strength against strength. Emajuru is like Superman.
He's a large dude. 6'11", 265 is Emajuru.
Here is Hamilton against Emajuru, and Hamilton walks. So I'll tell you a quick story. I was actually on the flight from D.C. to Milwaukee yesterday with George Mason, and I saw Emajuru get on the flight. American Airlines was kind enough to bump me to first, right? Because of all the flying. I'm like, do you want my seat? Because you're a lot bigger than I am. They said, no, we got an emergency exit row. I felt bad.
No, but that's, give up a first-class seat. That's awful kind of you, Justin.
Well, you know what happens. I'm short, he's tall.
Yeah.
That's the way it's got to be.
George Mason.
50-48 now. Oh, an air ball. And again, now we've got an out-of-bounds call going against Joplin.
Well, doesn't it feel like for George Mason, they were struggling, and then Marquette didn't get matched up, and they gave Braden O'Connor a wide-open three, and all of a sudden George Mason was able to settle down on this end.
Maddox for three, got it, and back on top goes George Mason.
Big-time player. You let him just walk into a three, you have your hands down on him, that's a no-no.
Joplin again for three. Long, but the offensive rebound by Ross doesn't fall. It's out of bounds, and it will be George Mason ball.
Great attack of the offensive glass for Ross.
51-50. George Mason leading.
Kind of feels like Maddox is on a heater here. See if he can't get him another shot.
And Majuru almost fumbled the handoff to Maddox. Newton has great size at that guard position. Couldn't finish with the right. Ross to the corner. Jones with the right hand this time, doesn't go. Maddox, his pass picked off. Chase Ross the other way. Ross gets it to fall, no whistle. Lamar Simpson was saying, he got ball, not a foul.
That's such an athletic play, though, from Chase Ross. All started with great anticipation on this end of the floor, though. He baited Maddox into throwing that pass.
And now a strip. And that's, again, Cam Jones. We saw him with a block in the first half. Now a steal here.
A couple of great plays with defensive instincts for Marquette. See, Chase Ross, perfect anticipation, runs through it. And watch this finish. Ball gets blocked, and it still is able to get in there. Great hands, and it definitely went off the shin of Katie Johnson.
(52-51). Jones going up against Woody Newton here with the length of Newton, about 6'8", 6'9".
It's like a
long
little
arms.
zone, maybe, Justin?
Yeah. Changing things up.
I think it's the right move. Marquette's kind of settled in on this end of the floor.
Parham, the freshman, can't finish underneath with the big bodies.
Marquette's got a lot of good looks right at the rim and made a few, but missed a couple of ones that usually go down.
O'Connor able to hang, draw some contact, no whistle though. Thought maybe he had Emma Juru at the rim. Skip pass the corner. Joplin. Ross in the paint. Against Emma Juru finishes.
It's amazing what just reversing the ball does. It creates closeout opportunities, and Ross takes advantage.
3-point Marquette lead. O'Connor calling out for the screen. Shot clock to 9. Maddox. Newton for three. And Joplin has the weak side rebound. Next whistle will be a commercial break. They'll get a timeout, a chance to catch their breath. Ross in the paint, the floater doesn't go. Newton's got the rebound, and he's like, I'm going to slow it down here.
Smart. I think you got some tired guys on the floor.
Coming up on 10 minutes to go. Halfway through the second half.
Chase Ross just blew up that handoff.
Maddox, difficult shot along the baseline. Hits the side of the backboard. You don't see that very often.
No.
Lowry can't finish, but he gets fouled. And that will lead to a stoppage in play.
It's been all Chase Ross here the last couple of minutes, doing it on both ends of the floor. The steal, the run out, the contact, no problem. He finishes. We got a good one.
We're lined up around the corner before the game for this whiteout at the McGuire Center. Seats 3,700 students only and a couple of alums. Wesley Matthews is sitting right behind us.
It's a pretty notable alum, but this has been an incredible atmosphere. And the crowd's made a big difference in this game. But this has been an absolute blast and a heck of a way to kick off Peacock's coverage of Big East hoops.
And it's Katy Perry fireworks playing.
Is this you? Is this your you lend them your playlist?
This is my karaoke song.
Oh, really?
No, but
I could see it. I could see it with you.
Zayd Lowry at the free throw line, the sophomore from Springfield, Missouri. This is one of those guys, the development at Marquette, what they can do. And Zayd Lowry, you look at his natural ability, good athlete, glides. How does he translate what he's learned last year to this year?
That's what Shaka Smart said. He said as a sophomore, your results are probably going to be uneven, so your mindset has to stay even. That's just a gem from Coach Shaka Smart to his sophomore stud, Zayd Lowry.
Jared Billups is back in. Billups playing with 3 fouls.
So is Stevie Mitchell as well. He's got 3 fouls.
Emma Drew gets a man up in the air, and he's able to stay patient and finish. Cam Jones back to Parham. Ball fake for 3. Long. The long rebound comes out to Darius Maddox. Katie Johnson will pull it back out, reset as Darius Maddox fell to the ground. Spin move, the drop step doesn't go. A good attempt by Woody Newton. Jones with that left hand, got it, and the foul.
He's left-handed. You know he wants to go left, but when he gets downhill with that left hand, this is one of the most dangerous players in college basketball. He just is so good at finishing around the basket. Scoops, little hook shots. He's got quite the bag of tricks for finishing in the paint.
20 points now for Cam Jones. A chance to make it 21. That was the 4th foul against Woody Newton, so he goes to the bench. We go with a small lineup right now for George Mason, essentially 4 guards and Emma Drew, and Emma Drew grabs the rebound.
So that floor is really spread if you get some one-on-one post-ups for Emma Drew. You got a lot of shooters on the floor for George Mason.
Johnson to the reverse. Nicely done. Katie Johnson able to stay under control. And now it's Billups on the inbound, able to knock it off. And it will be George Mason ball. This guy is crafty as a defender.
It's his identity as a player. But you saw on the layup, though, from Katie Johnson, the help didn't want to step in because you got shooters on the perimeter.
A couple of screens for Maddox.
Chase Ross was just Velcroed to him.
O'Connor step back for 3. It's short.
Not a good one, right? Don't need it.
I would say the student section's on him, but that means the entire arena.
Yeah. The arena's on him.
Joplin comes back in. Lowry goes to the bench.
This is an example, though, where this wears into Cam Jones' legs, where you need Sean Jones healthy, where he's having to score, he's having to deal with pressure, he's having an inner offense. It's just a lot on this guy's plate right now.
Phillips has 3 fouls. Jones again with that one hand, that left hand that's extended throughout the drive.
Just really good offense from Shaka Smart to free up Cam Jones.
Dangerous play right there by Mitchell. Could have picked up his 4th. Now Johnson step back, a deep 2. And Majuru can't corral the rebound. And it's Joplin who has it. Joplin top of the key, high arcing 3. And the rebound to Johnson. Maddox looking up at the clock. Plenty of time, shot clock at 15. Phillips underneath, and Majuru tries to dunk with the left, can't finish, but Maddox is there off the glass. And you can see Emma Drew is winded. Joplin taking advantage of that. No big man underneath, and Joplin's like, I'm going to the hoop.
Yeah. You need to have a little bit more urgency if you're Emma Drew to get back into the paint. It's too easy to let Joplin dribble down and just step into a layup.
Next whistle will be a timeout. Maddox falling, able to get rid of it. Johnson, and he gets bailed out with a foul call. And the foul will be called against Chase Ross.
Well, for Mr. Cam Jones, it's not the first screen, it's that second screen from Joplin that frees him up to get to his left hand. Beautiful set from the Golden Eagles. Well, everybody loves to do player comparisons when projecting players to the next level. Cam Jones, a superstar for Marquette. Let me give you my comparison. How about former 8-10 player of the year and 10-year NBA vet Katino Mobley? Left-handed, about the same size at 6'4", 6'5", and electric attacking the rim. Does this look familiar? Cam Jones getting to that left hand, the tough shots in traffic. That's my player comp, Katino Mobley.
Well, our big shots brought to you by Xfinity. Big shots by big player Cam Jones. 22 points. He's got 11 this half already. He has accounted for 36% of the team's scoring. But he's not just on an offensively. You look at what he's done. He's got the 3 steals, that block in the first half. Those have been big. He's had an all-around game.
Yes, and again, he's having to handle the ball in inner offense. Even if he's not getting an assist, he's initiating the sets. He's having to be vocal. He's having to lead. Keep in mind, Iguodaro and Kolick, those guys were excellent leaders in their own right. And while Jones was a scorer, there were times last year he just said, I just got to focus on getting buckets. Well, this year, he's got to do that, and he's got to run the team, and he's got to lead. He's got to talk to his young guys on the floor. Guy right there's really answered the bell tonight.
K.D. Johnson at the free throw line as he was fouled prior to the break. He's down 3 for 3 at the line tonight. Also of note is that both teams have made subs at their big man position. Ben Gold is back in for Marquette. Jalen Haynes is in for George Mason, and we were talking about how both big men looked winded prior to the break.
Ben Gold has had a rough day shooting the ball. 1 for 6 from 3, but he gets another opportunity to pick and pop. He's going to let it rip.
Joplin gets fouled by K.D. Johnson. That'll be number 3 against him. And the team's 6th.
Boy, for a veteran player, K.D. Johnson's just lost his discipline a few times on defense. Just a tough one to, and he knew it. He turned right to Coach Tony Skinn and said, my bad.
Well, that means the next foul. Yes. And it's free throws the rest of the way for Marquette. Joplin for 3. Got it. David Joplin with his third three of the night. He's now 3 for 8 from downtown. It's a 5-point Marquette lead.
He's put together a nice second half, knocking down some shots.
O'Connor showing off the handle, has it blocked again by Ben Gold.
Ben Gold. That big fella. Like a two-hand block. That was
They
nice.
do play volleyball in this gym.
That's right.
Maddox, pull up, that's a 2 off the back of the rim. Rebound by Chase Ross.
Tough shot. He can make that shot, but that's a tough one.
What makes it a worse shot is that was a foot on the line.
Yeah. 1-2. Those are those ones you say, you can get that at the end of the clock. I don't think you needed to jack that one up in that scenario. But Darius Maddox has earned the green light over the course of his career.
Shot clock to 8. Gold has it, top of the key. Jones, shot clock to 3. Jones doubles. Gold has to put it up. Shot clock expiring and puts it in.
What great awareness of the shot clock from Ben Gold, and what great patience from Cam Jones instead of jacking the tough one to make the pass. Big sequence for Marquette.
7-point lead, under 5 to play. Haynes spins, out of control, has it stripped by Ross. Jones for 3, in and out. Katie Johnson, a long rebound, trying to push. And he throws up a wild shot because he thought he'd get fouled, and he did.
Well, what a sequence from Ben Gold. Gets the block, and then here, late in the clock, keep the shot clock, top of the backboard. He catches it with one to turn and put it up softly off the window. That's a tough shot. Who's come in and made a couple of good defensive plays. And he's able to knock down that shot at the end of the shot clock.
The foul was called against Chase Ross, his 3rd, team's 4th. Emma Juru and Woody Newton are going to come in for George Mason with 4:31 to go.
Shaka Smart's got to be proud of Ben Gold, though. He's had a rough day shooting the ball. Caden Hamilton came in and kind of sat him down for a little bit. Shaka Smart goes back to him, and Ben Gold has 2 good defensive sequences. He gets a basket.
You know what? An early season game, both coaches get to learn a lot about their teams from this one.
Agreed.
Both coaches now know their teams will fight. They'll show some fight. Katie Johnson able to make both. 6 of his 10 points have come at the free throw line. 5-point game.
1-3-1 here. Short corner and the corner threes.
In the corner, there's Joplin, high arcing 3, air ball, and Katie Johnson rips away the loose ball. That ball's poked away, but we're going to have a reaching foul. And that will be against Ross, which is going to be his 4th and the team's 5th.
Look, he reaches across. It's just tough to reach across the offensive player's body like that. Although that looked like it was a lot.
Like he got ball first.
That's a tough one.
And with that, you've got your defensive stopper coming out in Ross, and you bring in Zayd Lowry.
Lowry had some good stretches defensively, but you're right. Chase Ross is a veteran guy coming out. So now it almost looks like a little zone from Marquette. Sometimes they like to start in the zone, and then they'll match up. So here, it looks like they matched up. Little chess game here.
The lob down low. Emma Juru, he draws the foul against Gold. And he'll head to the free throw line with just under 4 to play here in Milwaukee. 66-61. Marquette leads George Mason here on Peacock. We've got ourselves a good one here in Milwaukee. The first ever Big East game broadcast on the NBC Sports family of networks. And Darius Maddox, who's got 20 points on the night, he's going to have to come up big if George Mason is going to pull off an upset.
The game has a way of slowing down and getting simplified in crunch time. And oftentimes, it's not about plays, it's about players. And you need your top player Darius Maddox to probably be the guy with the ball in his hands, creating and trying to make things happen for George Mason when they get into the half court. And so obviously if you're Marquette, you have to understand that. Got to be disciplined off the ball, chasing him off screens, and get ready to fight the dribble as well.
Giovanni Emajuru at the free throw line for 2. The transfer from Siena was born in Italy to Nigerian parents, raised in England, which would explain his first name, Giovanni. And he's short on the free throw. On the night, George Mason now 11 of 14 at the line. Marquette 16 of 22.
You're ready to block out if you're Marquette.
And that's exactly what David Joplin did. 2 big misses at the line by Emajuru. Jones shows that ball again off the glass. 24 now for Cam Jones.
He is so good with his back to the basket and spins. He always is going to get back to that left hand. You know it's coming, and you still can't stop it.
Stevie Mitchell on the ball. He's got 3 fouls. Both teams shooting free throws the rest of the way. Shot clock to 8. Katie Johnson. Skip pass. This 3 is long, and Emajuru tries to keep it alive. It's going to be out of bounds off of him. Woody Newton unable to hit the 3 again.
Credit Zade Lowry. He was guarding Maddox. He denied Maddox the basketball, which blew up the offensive set. They go a little offense, defense. A nice defensive sequence there from Zade Lowry.
So Chase Ross comes back in with 4. And we're going to have Braden O'Connor return, replacing Emajuru. So now George Mason's going very small.
It looks like Tony Skinn looked like he was communicating to switch five ways. So you're going to switch every screen here and really press out. You got to find the matchup you like if you're Cam Jones and go to work.
Leading by 7. Jones to the corner. Joplin again for 3. Got it again! David Joplin, the senior, playing his hometown, hits a big shot, makes it a 10-point game.
14 second half points for Joplin.
Billups against Gold, has it blocked, and Stevie Mitchell comes over to grab the ball. 2.5 to go, 10-point lead for Marquette. Remember, they trailed by 5 in this half. And now, this is clock and score. Cam Jones takes it under 10. Gold for 3, gets it to go. That's the reward for his play on defense. An 8-0 run by Marquette. And this will be out of bounds off the Golden Eagles.
A pretty good execution offensively. Back-to-back plays. Cam Jones, the trigger man. First one to the corner to Joplin. Second one, the kick out to Ben Gold.
O'Connor to answer. They need a 3. Doesn't go, and Joplin has the rebound.
Such a luxury to have a closer with the ball in Cam Jones.
You had said somebody else has to step up for Marquette if they're going to win this game. It has been David Joplin, who's got 22 points. Cam Jones has 24.
Someone else is going to have to join the party offensively.
Joplin, he's feeling it. 24 now for David Joplin. 15-point lead. Maddox. And Joplin has the rebound.
Just an excellent last 4 minutes of closing this game out for Marquette. Give Ben Gold a lot of credit. You pointed it out. He did such a good job on 3 possessions defensively.
Heat check. He's still hot. The rebound for Cam Jones. 35 seconds. Gold. Oh, no. Oh, Gold gets fouled hard. Uh-oh. Watch out. This is not good. That was a bad foul by Woody Newton. Second time he's done that in this game. Some of the Marquette players going to go leave the bench.
Got a lot to sort out here. It's unfortunate. This has been a great game. You don't want it to get spoiled with guys losing their temper, but you are right. It looked like a handful of guys left the bench for Marquette.
And that's the fifth foul on Newton anyway, but this is uncalled for. With the elbow by the head, that's a dangerous, dangerous play. You cannot be doing that. And kudos to Cam Jones for stepping up for his guy. That's a reckless play. And then Woody Newton's in position like, let's fight. That's not what you want right now.
Got a lot to sort out here. Have a common foul, obviously, on Woody Newton, and they're sorting out technical fouls. There's going to be a lot to clean up here for the officials. That was a hard foul from Woody Newton.
It's an 18-point game. There's frustration right now, but there's no excuse for what just happened.
Zero.
That's one of those moments, though, again, you look at this Marquette team, and we talked about it earlier, no transfers. They're a close-knit team. Gold got fouled hard, and the first guy to come to his defense was Cam Jones, excuse me. That means a ton, and Chase Ross was also there. The two guys who were the leaders were like, no, you don't do that to our guy.
No doubt.
Remember, we saw at the end of the first half, Shaka Smart got bumped by Jalen Haynes, had words for him. Then Tony Skinn got into it with Shaka. Now you have this. And at the free throw line is Gold.
Boy, Shaka Smart's got to be so proud of the way his team fought in the second half. George Mason had Marquette on the ropes.
Yes,
big
they
time.
did.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't know it now, but this was a very, very tight game. For the first game in the Big East Conference ever on the NBC family of networks, not bad. And by the way, this game is being produced by Ryan Burke, directed by Jared Sumner. Our AD is Paul Marmoro, and the AP is Georgia Lord on this historic game. 20-point lead as this ball is deflected out, and it will stay George Mason ball. 3.5-second difference, shot clock to game clock. So Marquette, which cruised to a victory 102-62 on Monday against Stony Brook, had to work for this one. Ross steals it. And he gets fouled, not a hard foul, but a foul by Billups. Billups didn't want to give up an explosive dunk to end the game, and you knew Ross wanted that for payback.
It's great hands. Chase Ross feels like he's had a bunch of steals tonight and just been active. You're right, Marquette, they weren't shooting it well outside of Cam Jones, but they found a way to dig in on the defensive end of the floor. Everybody impacted this thing. Caden Hamilton, I thought, had a big stretch of minutes at the start of the second half, and Ben Gold then finished it off. But the steadying influence of Cam Jones and David Joplin, those two guys in particular have really, really been superstars tonight for Marquette.
David Joplin stepped up in a huge way here in the second half for the Golden Eagles. Billups will finish with a dunk. So to make it 82-63, and Marquette will dribble this one out. They will move to 2-0 on the season. George Mason will fall to 1-1. A big win for Shaka Smart and the Marquette Golden Eagles. And let's take a look at this handshake line and hope that everything is okay. Thank you for watching Big East basketball from Marquette, where tonight's final score, 82-63. Marquette beats George Mason. For Nick Baugh and our entire Peacock crew, I'm Justin Kutcher saying so long. Let's get you to Jordan Cornette in the studio.